Right now, I am at the dog park right near my house. But I thought I'd take advantage of this time and share something that's been on my mind for a few days. I was watching the PBS NewsHour the other day, which I know doesn't sound that entertaining, but this special came on about this thing in Russia, this new law that had been passed that would allow for like weaker penalties for victims of domestic abuse. For people who like suffered at the hands of like a loved one or something like that, and it was just a really powerful thing, not because of that and all the complexities that come with something like that, but because of what this special focused on and this surprising thing that I saw in it. So I'm gonna actually cut right now, and I'm gonna like splice in a bit of that video, and I'll come back in a second. All right.
In June last year, Russia passed a law making domestic abuse a crime punishable by up to 2 years in prison. But this year, the Russian parliament eased the penalties. Now, if domestic abusers don't break bones and don't commit abuse more than once a year, they can be sentenced to only 15 days in jail, or they can avoid jail entirely by paying a $500 fine. But shelter administrator Fishenko says the new law has already given men permission to abuse.
We have a lot more people in our center than before. This is already evidence that the freedom to beat up has begun. Before, if he was punished seriously, he would think twice about whether to hit her again. Now he will hit her again, calmly. It unties hands.
900 miles east of Moscow, in the city of Ufa, Yevgenia Zhakar is trying to help women who are beaten by those untied hands. She's replacing taboos with tattoos. She's a tattoo artist who covers up scars, bruises, and burns from domestic violence free of charge.
They come here as one person and they leave here another person. When they have a scar, they feel ugly, even if the scar is small. But when you have a tattoo, it's always beautiful and tender.
When she first started, the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of victims asked for help. Today, she sees victims once a week, including Tatiana Tukina. She says her ex-boyfriend stabbed her 3 times and shattered a glass bottle on her. She asked for a flower tattoo.
I really like flowers, and because pink is a very tender color.
Up until that was drawn on you, when you look down at your legs, what do you think about?
About the pain that I used to feel.
The flowers took a couple hours. What she's most excited about is not having to wear the black tights she's covered her legs with for 4 years.
You really don't feel the scars when you don't see them. Thanks to Zhenya for the tattoo.
For Zhakar, these are the moments that convince her the new domestic violence law punishes the victims.
So yeah. There are all kinds of issues surrounding something like this. Things that need to be considered from a moral and like Christian point of view, because obviously, like, we as followers of Christ care about justice and care about people and care about what they go through, and all that kind of stuff is super important. But that's not the thing that kind of caught my attention. What stuck out to me and what I wanted to focus on for a second was the tattoo section. I just thought it was really incredible how someone can go through something like that and then find peace and healing and kind of like a new beginning in something as simple as tattoos. And obviously, like, tattoos are, mean a lot to me. I've done a bunch on my own arm. Yes, I've done maybe 6 myself. No, 7, 8 myself, and plans to do more. But that's not the point. The point is that, like, there's something broken that this woman had experienced, that she had scars from something really painful that she had gone through, and found beauty in something like tattooing. That this artist had sensed this kind of calling to serve and reach out to and love and care for these women who carried very real scars. And just, my ex-wife and I always have said this thing, that God has this knack for making beauty from ashes. That God has this ability to take, times and events in our lives that are just so painful and so full of hurt and sadness. And if we if we allow God to, if we open up, God can just make such beautiful things come from that. And so I thought about this, and I've been thinking about all of you as I've just been playing this segment from PBS over and over in my head, that all of you are going to be called to different things. Like some of you really might have a knack for tech or software, computer engineering, science, the business world, art, who knows? Like all of you have these gifts and talents and abilities. And what's amazing, what I want to encourage you to think about is how can you use those to love and serve others? Like a tattoo artist who does tattoos, not something you generally associate with like healing or service or any of those kinds of topics. But this tattoo artist took her abilities and used it for something beautiful to actually bring healing to these women. And I wonder, I can't even dream, I can't even imagine like the opportunities that each of you is going to have to serve others, to love others through the very things that you're passionate about. I don't know what that's going to look like. That takes a lot of prayer and intentionality to think through. All right, if I'm going to be, a follower of Christ, if I'm going to claim that I want to love like God loves, then how am I actually going to do that in my day-to-day job? What is that going to look like? What's that going to feel like? Who are the people that I can reach out to and I can serve in very real and practical ways? Stella's waiting for me to throw the ball. But yeah, I've just been thinking about that and wanted to share it because I know all of you are so unique and amazing, even with the little time that I've really gotten to know you. And so it's just exciting for me to think about, all I've been thinking about since that segment is just like, wow, imagine how the kids at Faith are going to be using their gifts. If this woman who may or may not even have a relationship with God is doing something so powerful, like what can you guys do? What is your life going to look like after you graduate high school, after you graduate college and, choose a career, find a calling? But even more than that, what can you do now? What would it look like now in middle school and high school to take the things that you are good at, passionate about, and actually somehow use them to help others, to love others, to show care for your friends at school, for your family members, for maybe the kids that aren't your friends at school who may not have friends. I don't know. It's just one of the amazing things about God is his ability to take what we give before him, like the things that we set down in front of God, and just his ability to use that for amazing things. And so I hope that you spend a little time thinking about, what do you have? What are the things that make you unique and special? Because you are, every one of you. And then think how can I serve others? How can I love others? What can I do with this, with who I am? And there's things that even, those of you who are shy, those of you who are outgoing, different people need different things. Each of you has the ability to love in very special and unique ways. So, yeah, that's just what I've been thinking about for the last couple days. Hope it means something to you guys. Bye.